get all set up. Okay. Well, taking a break from other responsibilities for a moment, thought I would go live on the channel. I know I've enjoyed doing a couple of these recently. Not sure everyone's time slot availability, like I said, with some kiddos, just whenever I'm able to make a little bit of time. So I thought I'd go ahead and do it. I know last week or 2 weeks ago, I went ahead and did a live stream about my DC Omnibus collection. You can actually see some of it still up there on that row. But today I thought I'd use a minute, take some time, and basically talk about some things I've been recently reading, some I've been, finishing, some I'm still in the middle of, but I wanted to just talk a little bit more extensively about some of the stuff I'm reading. I also thought if we have some people show up, this is a great place to ask questions and just dialogue, because I really enjoy interacting with all of you. Okay, got my first comment here. What's up? Love the streams. Thank you so much. I'm newer to it. I know my setup isn't crystal clear by any means, as you can see, but I've really had fun just kind of engaging with everyone like this. So it looks like don't have a ton of people yet, so I'm just going to keep talking and hopefully some more people will trickle in. Thank you so much, anyone who is popping by to say hi. Feel free to ask me questions, but I'm going to go ahead and start talking about some of these recent reads I've been doing. I guess I'll start with the ones I have finished, which are going to be over on that side. So one thing I wanted to talk about, I think I reviewed it on the channel recently actually, was Rogue Sun Volume 1 Cataclysm. This trade paperback is from Image Comics, and for me, this is in that kind of massive verse that started with Radiant Black over at Image, kind of again, like an indie superhero comic series. I had this recommended to me by a few people. I heard it was kind of supernatural, kind of occult themed superhero, basically. And that's certainly what we get here. This is a lot of fun. I love the art. I do think some of the main characters took a bit of growing to, get me hooked in. I think actually the main hero is not overly likable, probably by design, but I'm sure he'll have a heart of gold and win me over in the end. But this was a really solid book. I had the first maybe 5 or 6 issues of this series. Even though it is part of the Massiverse, you don't need to read anything else before enjoying this title. Like I said, if you're interested in kind of an indie superhero with a kind of supernatural bend, this is it here. I know one of the things I was really excited to see Eric Kripke down here. He's like kind of showrunner for The Boys and Supernatural. I was a big fan of Supernatural back in the day. Still have fond memories of that series. So when I saw his little blurb on the front, very excited about that. Yeah, very, very cool. You have a great voice for commercials. I see that in the comments. Thank you so much. That's really flattering. Let's see. Hi, no Spider-Man 2099 Volume 2 just yet. Well, it's funny you say that. Let me see. Haven't showcased it, but I do have Volume 2. I have the direct market cover, so it might be a little bit different than the standard edition if you've seen that cover. But I did get this in this week. I cannot wait. This has the continuing adventures of Spider-Man 2099 after that initial 90s run. Peter David returns for a couple ongoing series, and this one goes up through, 2015 or 16 or so. So really modern stuff there. Really excited to dive into that. That's actually the reason this is on my current read list, because I want to finish this up so I can get to Volume 2. So I'm going to keep right on going on. Next book I finished recently. I'm actually dropping a review for this tomorrow at the time of the recording. Basically, this is Volume 3 for Nocterra by Scott Snyder and Tony S. Daniel. This has been a series I've really loved in recent years. Okay, we got Carlos. Oh, great. I'm waiting for my copy. It comes along with X-Men 2099. Very, very cool. I've heard interesting things about that as well. Hope you enjoy. Richard, what's up, Dominic? I hope you're well today. Yes, very well. Taking a little break from some of my responsibilities to go live with y'all. Let's see. Austin had to send around 10 books back to Target damaged. Oh no, I hate to hear that. I know some of those big box stores or online retailers like Amazon, sometimes packaging can be a bit dicey. I always recommend channel sponsor, Organic Price Books, of course. I've also had really good luck with in-stock trades, cheap graphic novels, as some other online retailers. But yeah, this is Nocterra. This is kind of a supernatural, dystopian, fantasy, future action series. Gosh, can I fit any more genres in there? But really good. I'm a really huge fan of Scott Snyder ever since I read his Batman run up there. And this is really fun. This is from Image as well. But this finishes out the first main arc of the series. My understanding is these creators are on hiatus right now, so I don't know if there'll be more. If there is, it's definitely going to pivot what the series is about. I do think that this resolved the first couple, trades really well. Like I said, this is volume 3. Wasn't perfect for me. My notes on why will be in tomorrow's review, but still really liked it. The art is gorgeous. I still thought it was very fun. Okay. Let's see. Have you read Superior Spider-Man? That is a great question. I'm actually reading that as well, but not as actively as some of these here that I've read. But I am going through Superior Spider-Man. I may be, with that omnibus, I may be like a quarter through it, maybe a third of the way through it. Really liking that as well. I do like Dan Slott's Spider-Man from what I've read. Let's see, maybe you can help me with a doubt I have for quite some time. Okay, let's see. Have you been watching X-Men 97? I've heard that this episode was wild. I've only watched the first episode. I'm hoping to watch more of X-Men 97. I've been hearing good things. Let's see, got my copy of Spider-Man 2099 Volume 2. Can't wait to dive in. Yeah, same boat for me. Actually, let's just talk about Spider-Man 2099 right now since we've talking about it a bit. So this is the Volume 1 Omnibus. This collects the entire 90s run from Peter David. Really, really cool. A couple tie-in issues and just that main run. I am reading it. You can see here, I'm like right here. So I'm like, quarter, somewhere between a quarter and a third through it probably. So a couple hundred pages in, but this is a big boy. Really liking this so far. I love the design of that 2099, Spider-Man 2099 suit. But it's really great. I really love Peter David's writing. I'm really excited to finish this out and get into the volume 2. I'm interested to see what Peter does with a more modern run. I'm curious if I'll feel how I do about his X Factor run. I read his 90s run. Now I'm reading his X Factor Investigations run that came out quite a bit later. But yeah, so this has been really fun. This has been something I've been reading. What do I want to say about this? This is one that I know has a ton of fans. This was one of my most eagerly anticipated omnibuses of last year. I cannot believe it's taken me so long to really sit down, buckle down, and try to get through it. But the added motivation of getting volume 2, really just back at it. This is one of my basically nightly readers right now. Really, really liking it. Just cannot speak highly enough about it. It has kind of some of my favorite grungy feeling aspects of the 90s. It kind of is a comparable thing to maybe Batman Beyond, where it's kind of this dystopian future cityscape. We have a variation on a beloved superhero character. And I just think it's really a lot of fun. Really, really liking it so far. The art we get predominantly from Rick Leonardi throughout it is also just iconic and great. Loved it. And like I said, it's a big omnibus. I mean, you got a ton of issues there. Set that down. Let's look at the comments. Peter David is an amazing writer. I hope he's doing better with his health. Yeah, I know. I saw he was ill last year. Hope he's doing better as well. He's a writer I've just started to get into. Like I said, I've been reading his X Factor stuff. Really like that. Really like what I've been reading with Spider-Man 2099 as well. I know I need to read his Hulk run. I've read just the beginning of it. Hulk is not one of my main characters, but I hope someday to read it. Maybe we'll get a reprint of that first omnibus sometime. Latest X-Men episode was almost like an Invincible episode. Oh, wow. That definitely speaks to the level of intensity. I'll have to catch up. Do you have Death and Return of Superman omnibus? I have the 5 trades, and I want to upgrade, but I think the 5 trades has more content. Is that correct? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure if it has more content. I don't really know a side-by-side with those paperbacks. They've honestly released so many paperbacks, I'm not even sure what's collecting what or what editions you have. But yes, I do have the Death and Return of Superman omnibus. I have reviewed this on the channel. This was a really good read as well. Yeah, you can see what it collects there. I don't know if it's too fuzzy. Action Comics 683 through 92. Annual 5, Adventures of Superman 498 through 505, and Annual 5. Green Lantern 46, Justice League of America 69 and 70, Superman the Man of Steel 17 through 26, and Annual 2, Superman 73 through 83, and Annual 5, Supergirl and Team Luthor Special number 1, News Time, Life and Death of Superman, Superman the Legacy of Superman number 1, and collected for the first time in this groundbreaking foldout, Superman issue 75. So that's the contents. Maybe compare that with your paperbacks, but this is a really fun omnibus. I'm surprised how well it holds up with how big it is. Beautiful reproductions of these issues for what I consider a really iconic period in Superman's life and history, of course. Okay. Love your channel. Do I need to read House and Powers of X before reading the Hellions? That is a really good question. So let's talk about Hellions next. Thank you for help on the segue. This is a book I should have a review on the channel in the next week or two. I finished reading it maybe a week ago or so. This is one that's been on my list forever. I'm a huge fan of the Krakoa era of X-Men, and this was a Dawn of X title I just never got to that I had heard a lot of good things about. Do you need to read House of X Powers of 10 before reading? Oh, that's a good question. I would say if you're someone who can get a couple bits of trivia or synopsis from that and can just go, then no, you can probably just fill in the gaps. Do I think it's really important? I would say yes. I think it's the perfect primer for any of these Krakoa era books because it effectively establishes the status quo for X-Men and all the adjacent X titles like Hellions. You know, you basically have an island nation state of Krakoa where all of the mutants go to. There's kind of a ruling council there. Basically, everything's established in House of X Powers of 10. But once you understand, hey, that's kind of the basis for all the storytelling, you can jump right in with something like this. So it just depends on what kind of reader you are. If you're more of a completionist, I would say definitely read it. I do think it's actually one of the best X-Men titles of all time. House of X Powers of 10, really fantastic. But Hellions, you know, stands by itself fairly good as well. This one was really fun. You know, it has the entire Hellions run from Zeb Wells, issues 1 through 18. Why this is kind of a big deal is some of these other oversized hardcover editions don't have the X of Swords tie-ins. That's only collected in X of Swords. But this is an example of even the X of Swords tie-ins are included here. And honestly, it's not super jarring if you haven't read X of Swords. You kind of feel like they're having their own adventures. So it all just works out really well. The art in this collection is also just like fantastic. It's beautiful. It's really quirky too. It's like kind of a, I don't want to say it's like Suicide Squad necessarily, but it's definitely kind of like the grungy, misfit mutant characters together, forming this team under the team lead of Mr. Sinister and kind of functional field lead of Psylocke or Quanon. But yeah, really fascinating book. Really like it. Can't wait to share my thoughts on it. It is a little bit more edgy, more violent. You know, there's definitely, I think it's more of an adult-centric X book, I would say. But a lot of great humor, a lot of great action. Let's look at the comments. I've been curious about the Superman Exile Omnibus. I missed it when it was last year sometime. I think it being so 50. How is that Omni? Okay, that's a good question as well. So this one is one I actually haven't started either. Yes, I confess that to you. I'm guilty of it. I bought this because I enjoyed reading through John Byrne's Superman. I'm almost done with that. And I knew that this came shortly after. So I picked it up while this was in print. So I really can't speak to that other than it is a beautiful omnibus. I love the dust jacket. I think it's like one of the best looking dust jackets of any omnibus I have. But I am eager to read this, but I have not read the contents yet. I heard that they are reprinting it though, so hopefully people can find it for in-printed prices. What are some of your recent collected edition announcements that you're excited about? Great question, Jake. I'm really excited for some of those X-Men omnibuses. I know they have like the Road to Onslaught, and I think, is it Extinction Agenda? I don't know. I know Omar at Near Mint Condition just did an update video about that announcement, but I cannot wait for those omnibuses. I'm a big X-Men fan. I'm also excited for like that Alien Costume Saga Spider-Man. I missed out on those giant paperbacks they released some time ago, so I'm really eager to try to finally read those for myself. Do you have the Batman Eternal Omnibus? I do not. That's one that I'm hoping to get sometime. I clearly love the Scott Snyder era of Batman, so I'd love to see what he does with Batman Eternal. Let's see, Jake. Very interested in picking up Joker by James Tynion and Compendium. Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. I only heard recently that it follows Gordon a lot, and that definitely made me more interested than just following Joker personally. So I'm interested. Hopefully that one's a good one. If you check it out, let me know, Jake, how it is. I would love to read that as well. Richard, who would you put in your top 5 comic writers of all time list? That is such a great question. I'm trying to think. Offhand, recently, I could say I really have been enjoying Jonathan Hickman. I think he makes the cut for me. I've always been a fan of Brian Michael Bendis as well. I know sometimes he's kind of polarizing. Some stuff is better than others, but he won me over with Daredevil, followed by Ultimate Spider-Man as far as when I found them, and those made me just a lifelong fan of Bendis. So Bendis is someone I follow, and he just has so much range. So Bendis is on there, Hickman's on there. Honestly, Jeff Johns, he's kind of like, do I have any Jeff Johns up here? I feel like I point to DC, I just assume it's going to be Jeff Johns. I actually don't have a Jeff Johns omnibus up there. Sad day. But basically, Jeff Johns for me is always solid. I've never really read a Jeff Johns that wasn't at least good. There we go. There's some Jeff Johns. Oh, yeah. But Jeff Johns is a great writer for me. I'd really like to see him stretch his stuff over at Image with the unnamed stuff recently. Gosh, who else do I like? I feel like Matt Fraction I've been reading a lot by recently, like him. Like Ed Brubaker, who both write on this. But yeah, I don't know. On the spot, there's just so many writers. Jason Aaron, I really like quite a bit. Mark Waid. Whoa, Mark Waid's definitely in my top 5. Okay, let's see. So this is the last one I wanted to talk about that I've been reading through. So I just reached the point where Ed Brubaker is leaving this book, and we're going to get more just Matt Fraction, and then it's going to transition over into the other creators. This is the Immortal Iron Fist and Immortal Weapons Omnibus. They printed this last year. They had Immortal Iron Fist, but they added to this omnibus, which is why we got the Immortal Weapons now. So I'm reading through it. I think I just got through issue like 13 or 14, but really fun. It's like the end of the first like major huge arc. And like I said, I think it's when Ed Brubaker leaves the book. But this is really fun for fans of just kind of the martial arts, more mythical side of the Marvel Universe. There's a lot of grit here, some beautiful artwork from, I think, David Aja right here. Just love it. Love it. For fans of his Hawkeye art, it's a little bit different here, but still amazing. Let's see. Thank you for providing insight and overview. Great. Hope you enjoy Hellions. Like I said, I'll do a full review of it at my channel in a couple weeks if you're interested. Do you let any of your friends borrow Omnis? I've regretted doing it every time. You know, I've loaned out to my dad. I've offered to loan to friends. I've loaned out like oversized hardcovers, but really just trusted friends. And you know, I haven't done a ton of Omnis yet. But if they wanted, I'd loan them. Let's see. Jake, apparently Jim Gordon gets paid to kill the Joker. Ooh, yeah, that sounds like a fun premise. And I like James Tynion the Fourth quite a bit, so I would definitely be interested in that. Let's see, I hope we get the Avengers by Jeff Johns Omnibus one day. Yeah, that would be interesting. I know Tyler over at Illuminati talked about that. I wasn't even aware that Jeff Johns did that. So that's a run that I would be interested in quite a bit as well. Anyway, I am reading quite a bit more than just these titles, but these are some that I've either recently read or I'm like actively reading through that I just wanted to talk a little bit more about. You know, one of the things too is I just reviewed, I think on my channel, the Immortal Iron Fist, the end of last week. The Iron Fist, the Danny Rand, the Early Years Omnibus. So I had some people asking me about this Immortal Iron Fist run, and yeah, I am reading it. I hope to review it when I finish it completely, but definitely enjoying it so far. Thoughts on the Sandman universe? So I've read some of Sandman by Neil Gaiman. Obviously, it's a classic. It gets kind of dark and occult. It's kind of straddling the line for my taste of like how far I'll read into that kind of stuff. But I like it. I mean, I get like even historically in the history of comics why it's incredible. I don't really delve into the universe of Sandman. I think I really pump the brakes at Sandman itself, and even that I kind of just dabble with. I've read maybe close to half of Sandman, so I haven't even finished the proper Sandman yet. Let's see. What do you think of Iron Fist Living Weapon run? I actually haven't read that. You know, so the Early Years Omnibus and then this one here are actually my first runs ever on Iron Fist. I watched some of the TV show and I've seen Danny show up in different comics and crossovers and things like that. But the Early Years Omnibus, which has his origins, and then this one here is my first time reading the comics. So I haven't delved in. Do you think the Andrews run is good? I'd love another good recommendation because I like this character. Austin says he thought it was meh. Okay, well, that's good to know. Have you read Mark Waid's Flash and Williamson's Flash? Great question. So I've got Mark Waid's Flash Omnibus Volume 1 there in the corner. Boo-boo. I did review that on the channel, I think last year. I definitely enjoyed that. So I have not read all of the Flashes run by Mark Waid. I've read the first, I don't know, half or third. I don't know how many of these omnibuses they're going to do. But I read this. This is all I've read of Mark Waid's Flash so far. But really like it. I feel like it's kind of just getting going though. So I'm really interested in Volume 2. I have read all of Jeff Johns' run. Love that. It's my definitive Flash run I've read so far. But again, eager to read the rest of Mark Waid's. Williamson's, I've read the first 2 oversized hardcover collections we got. So haven't read everything that's included in that first omnibus that just got released this last week. But I liked it. I think that for Williamson's run, I did prefer the art to the actual writing so far. But I am a fan of Williamson. I like what he wrote on what I've read of Birthright, his indie series. I've liked what he did briefly on Batman. He did Abyss and I think Shadow War. Are these them? Let's see. Yeah, Joshua Williamson did these books. This is what kind of really opened my eyes for Williamson. This and the early Flash stuff he did a couple years ago. But But yeah, this is what really made me a fan of Williamson. I thought his Flash stuff was good. I preferred the art to the writing, I would say, overall, from at least the beginning of the run. But these Batman books I thought were really fun, especially this one I thought was really great. But I guess I'll be relinquishing my Phoenix Volume 1 and Uncanny Volume 5, since Uncanny Omnibus Volume 2 getting a reprint and Prelude to Mutant Massacre. Yeah, there is going to be some double dips there. I think it just depends on how people prefer their formats. You know, I think for me, it just gives different collectors avenues to collect it in ways they want. Let's see. Trying to determine which Omni to get, it's a hard choice for me. Yeah, you know, I understand that. I feel like this year in particular, there's so many good omnibuses. You know, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man, and there's so many, but I feel like I have to just pick and choose because the budget is finite. Been loving his Superman run. Yeah, you know, I've heard Williamson's Superman is fantastic. I'm currently reading the Warworld saga from the Action Comics run under, what's his name? It's a 3-name initial. Anyway, I've been reading that too. That's been really good. I'll probably talk about that later another time. Did you finish Invincible? Yes, I did. I finished all of Invincible by Robert Kirkman. I have all of it in the Ultimate Collections. Those oversized hardcover editions, all 12 volumes. Loved it. Loved it so much. Definitely learning not to get caught in the FOMO trap. That is so good. I feel like that's a lesson, if I'm honest, I keep learning. But yeah, I think for me, the success was being on a budget. You know, to me, having that kind of restriction keeps me on the straight and narrow where I can enjoy this hobby, still really get, like really prioritize what I want, you know, but also I don't get in trouble of, you know, getting into debt or overspending, which I'll be honest, I did when I first got into this hobby like almost a decade ago. That's actually why I stopped collecting for a while. I sold some of my collection, but coming back the last couple years while on a budget, it's let me keep this hobby just healthy. And it's hard, yeah, missing out on some books you really want, but I find that when I'm kind of constrained to a budget, I can either choose to sell some books, which I do on occasion, or, you know, I can save up money where I can, and I just prioritize the collections I really want the most, you know. And sometimes it's leaner than others, and, you know, everyone has different budgets or preferences on how they spend and things, but definitely understand the FOMO trap, you know. Okay, well, anyway, those are some of my recent reads I wanted to do recently. You know, I'm probably going to sign off pretty soon. Is there anything else, any questions, last minute things? It really means a lot to me, everyone showing up. Like I said, I've really enjoyed these live streams. I know my setup isn't crystal clear or, you know, really ideal for this, but hopefully I can upgrade eventually as well. But I just try to do these when I can. Like I said, a lot of things going on, like I'm sure all of you. But where I can fit these in, I definitely like to make an opportunity to. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Let's see, been collecting Omnibus collected editions for 15 years. This has got to be the most stacked year. Austin, I'm actually encouraged to hear that because I felt like this year was crazy stacked. And I'm like, how are people keeping up with this, you know? But again, just got to do what we can here. Yeah, so here's another look at my currently reads I just wanted to talk a little bit about. Sorry about the glare. All right, folks. Well, hey, thank you so much for stopping by. I'll try to, oh, there they go. I'll try to do another live maybe in a couple weeks if I can or whenever available. But thank you so much all for coming out. Stay tuned for my review on Nocterra, Volume 3, No Breaks, tomorrow if you're interested. Then I got plenty of other fresh content coming out, you know, going into next week and beyond. But again, thank you so much for coming by. Yeah, thank you. You take care too, Richard. And until next time, see ya.